for SQL. I've taught over 100 students in my workshops. We just not really teaching, we just focus on solving real life problems, using SQL to solve real world problems. So I also have a huge follower base on LinkedIn. Okay, that's a little about me. All right, you're welcome to today's section. Okay, let me share my screen. All right, so today we'll be looking at data manipulation and database management. Okay, so our agenda for today will be looking at database creation and deletion, how to create databases, how to delete databases, looking at table creation and alteration, how to create tables, constraints, how to allowing kinds of stuff into the table. We're going to put a constraint. Then data manipulation is very, very broad. So we just pick the important and necessary ones, right? Okay, so these are key concepts in database. Key concepts in database operations. All right, I hope you guys have learned about databases from your last class. Okay, so we'll be going into how it's being run, operations in databases. So we'll be doing, like I said, database creation and deletion, how we're going to create this database. If we don't need it again, how we're going to delete it. Then table creation and alteration, how to alter tables, how to modify tables, how to update tables. We'll be looking at that. Then data integrity and constraints, how to make sure the data in our database is okay. We'll add constraints to our tables. So we'll be doing data manipulation also, then joins and relationships. So this is what we'll be looking at today. All right, so okay, so for creating database, I'll be using Postgres. Postgres, it's RDBMS, that is a relational database management system, is a type. Okay, I'm also going to show you on how to do it on MySQL. I use these two, PostgreSQL and MySQL. So I think what we're going to do, when we look at the slide, then we go over to the database, right? We'll come back, right? So that's what we'll be doing. Okay, so we've been employed as basically, right? Seriously, when you're a data analyst, most of the time you won't be doing all this database creation and all that. The data engineers, the database managers will be the ones in charge of this. But it's very, very important for you to learn this, okay? For you to understand how it's being done. Okay, it's the very basic, like very fundamentals. It's the very fundamentals, okay? All right, so I'll be using Postgres, like I said, and I'll also be using MySQL. We're going to create database. Okay, so I'll be needing, I want this to be interactive, right? So I'll be needing inputs. Okay, so I'll be needing our inputs. All right, so I'm going to be creating a books database. I really need this class to be interactive. So you're going to give me ideas. You're going to bring your own ideas so that it will just flow along, right? So I'll be looking also in the chat, or if you have anything to say, you can raise up your hand and you'll be omitted so that you can actually speak. I just want it to be interactive. I don't want to do everything on my own. Okay, so we're going to start with creating of database. All right, so like I said, you won't have to create this database. Okay, so like I said, you won't have to create these databases, but it's a very good practice that you learn how to create them. Okay, all right, so we're going to use the create database statements, right? In SQL, there are different statements that you use, like or functions you use to pass, like you're sending they call it query language, you're sending the database a message like, do this for me. Okay, so there are different statements that you make for the database to run on what you have told it to do. Okay, so to create a database, it's just, you're going to just write create database. All right, then it's going to create a new database in the RDBMS that you're using. All right, I think every RDBMS we have SQL Server, we have the relational database management systems. We have SQL Server, we have Postgres, I think Oracle. So I think all of them have the same syntax, except it might be just slight difference. Or the create statement is for creating an object, like you can create a table, you can create a database. All right, so you can create a view, so different objects. Okay, so we're going over to the Postgres. I also do this in Postgres. I'll be alternating doing it in Postgres and also on MySQL. Okay, for some people that are familiar with either of them. All right, so we're going to create the books. We're going to create the books database. All right, so this is how this is how it looks like in Postgres. All right, so these are my different databases. I have 7 of them here already. Okay, I have 7 of them here. All right, so I refreshed. You can also refresh. This Postgres. This is the interface of Postgres. So I have 7 of databases here. I have banking, sales. Okay, I just created books, but let me delete it. Sorry. So I'm going to create it again. Okay, right, I deleted it. Okay, so let me refresh. Okay, so right now I have 6 databases, right? I have banking, sales, Madrid, and Airbnb, Postgres, Settle, and Settle Airbnb data. All right, so I'll be creating a database. Like, I'll call it a bookstore. Okay, so when I create a database here, it will be 7 databases. Okay, so inside this database, let me see for this one. This can hold as many objects as, right? This can be a banking database for a whole bank, like everything that they need, tables. You can have multiple tables. You can have like 100,000 tables just in this particular database. Okay, so I'm going to create, like I said, we're going to use the create statements. Create database. Then after I write create database, you're telling the machine, you're telling Postgres that please help me to create a database. Okay, then you're going to give the name of the database you want to create, whatever name you want to. So we're using a books. Let me just call it a bookstore database. Book. All right, so I'm going to run it to execute it. All right, so query returned successfully, meaning that the query has been successful. Okay, so when I refresh, when I click here and do a refresh, right, can you see it's 7? Okay, let's look for our bookstore. Okay, yes, here, this is the database we've created. Now, okay, right now there's no tables, okay? Right now there's no table on it. So later on, we're going to create a table, okay? All right, so Okay, so I'm going to go to my SQL, right? This is the interface of my SQL. This is another RDBMS. All right, I can also use this to talk to my database, to store databases, store tables. All right, so this is another one. You have SQL Server, which is owned by Microsoft. I have SQL earlier. So this is another one. So I think we'll be alternating the two. Okay. So some people that are, this is actually very simple to use, but I just like the other one because it's kind of dark mode and I like the colors it brings up when I type in different functions. Okay. All right. So we're going to do the same thing here. So here, these are my databases. I have the banking, I have e-commerce, I have, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 databases here on this MySQL. So if I create this one, it's going to make it 8. So the same thing I did there, I'm going to do it here. What's the bookstore? Okay, so I'm going to run this. All right, so now it's created the database. So we're going to do a refresh. Sorry. So the refresh for this one is up here, okay? This two down and up arrow. So when I do a refresh here, oh, that's how to create a database. So now we'll be working on this bookstore database. Okay, now we've created our database, we have our database. Now, what are we going to do with this database? Okay, so now we'll be creating tables into this database. Let me say you're a banker, for example, and you have the banking database. All right. So inside your database, you have different tables, your transaction tables, your customers tables, employees tables, thousands of tables inside the banking database. Okay, so now we'll be creating different tables. That's the next thing we'll be creating. Okay. All right. So now we've created our database. Another thing now we'll learn is how to delete this database. Let me say, for example, we don't need it. We don't want the database. Okay. We don't want the database. Now we want to delete it, right? We're going to drop, as you're dropping the database, everything that is included in that database, your data, tables, everything you've done on that database, everything you've saved, everything that you've worked on that database, if you drop it, it's going to delete. It's going to delete everything, right? So we're going to use the drop statement. The drop statement is like you're telling the database, please delete this database for me. But the machine is saying that it's drop, okay? It's not delete. So the statement to delete a database is called drop. The same thing we did for creation, okay? So you're going to tell it drop database. What's the name of database you're dropping? There are different databases there, right? The different databases on your machine. You're telling it, okay, drop this particular database, right? So before you delete a database, right, you have to be very careful. You have to be very, very careful. That's why most times data analysts, they don't give them the permission. The data engineers or the database managers, there are certain restrictions that they give to people that have access to these databases. Okay, you can only retrieve, you can do some other manipulations on database, but there are some certain restrictions, right, that they will give to that particular person. Maybe you cannot delete, you cannot grant access to someone else. I think that's the job of mostly a database manager or the engineers. There's most things that you cannot do because by the time you make a mistake and you drop a data, imagine dropping a database that is being that has maybe the customer based database, like in a company. Do you know what that means? What they built for years, and out of maybe mistake and you just drop it. So you have to be very careful. Even when you have access to it, okay, you need to have a backup. There might be a mistake. It can happen, all right? It can happen. So you always be very careful that you have a backup. Make sure that there is a backup of that database before you delete it entirely from the RDBMS. All right. So some systems provide an if exist. If exist means, okay, like if exist is plain English. I say SQL is a plain English, okay? Like you said, if exist, if this database exists, right? If exists, drop. If it doesn't, don't, okay? Like you're telling it that if this thing exists, you also do it in creating tables. And if exists means if it actually exists in the database, if it exists in the machine, do this, okay? So that's what the statement means. So you provide that so that you won't cause errors, like maybe you're trying to delete something else and you don't know that, there's some things that can come up. All right, so we're going to drop this database we've created right now. Okay, still going to create it again. All right, so these are database. Okay, so we're going to drop the database. Like I said, statements is drop database. What's the name of our database? So you run it. Okay. Oh, there's one session that means it's open. Let me use this one. Yeah. Okay. There's one other session using the database. It's been accessed by. Okay, so I have to delete it directly on the machine. Okay, just do a right click and you delete it. All right, so when I do a refresh, okay, so the database is, okay, we've deleted the database, okay? So we're going to recreate it because we'll be using it, right? Okay. All right, the next thing we're going to be doing is to create a table. Okay, so we'll be creating a table inside that database we just created. All right, so this create statement is also used to create objects, like I said, database views in the database. All right, so it's the statement you tell your RDBMS, that is your machine, that please create this for me. It generates. Okay, so we're going to tell our database, we're going to tell our RDBMS, which is Postgres, that please, we want you to create a table for me. Okay, so this is the syntax. We're going to do a create table. Okay, create table name. This statement, this is syntax here. Create table name. Then we're going to give it the columns that it will be creating. When you write create table name, that's not the end. You're going to tell it how many columns that you want inside the table. If it's 1, if it's 2, you're going to specify the column. Secondly, for this syntax, you're going to specify the data type. All right. So a data type is like a category, or their format, right, used to define the type of data that can be stored in a variable or column, okay, within a database. They are, like I said, they are used to define the type of data. Okay, so we have let me say you want to store money, right? You want to store money. The column, like how will I put it? Is it no price, right? Okay, want to store price, a price column on the database. Okay, there are different columns. Let me say we have an order table. We have an order table, or we have a product table. Then we have price. We have price ordered, like the date or time that it was ordered. So for you to create this inside, like to put the price, the order ID, you want to create a table, you're going to specify each column that this is the data type. This is the data type that I really want. Okay, this column has this data type. You have to specify it. If it's a price column, we have different type of different integers. Integers are like whole numbers, 1 to 300 minus 100. So those are integers. Then we have the floats. These are all numeric. The float is like the price column. The price data type I'm talking about is like the decimal. For example, 2.5. 100 point. These numbers that have decimals in them. Okay, they are called floats. All right, they're called floats in SQL, I think in other programming languages. So then we also have, I think, the double precision. Those are high decimals, right? Then also have the text data type. It can store characters, can store varying characters, single characters, and have this string. It's still under the text data type. Okay, if you've done programming languages, you know what string is, like a text values. If I put, let me say this column 1, I put price as data type. Now I want to insert values into this table, and this column 1 is price that I put float. Sorry, price is decimal, so price is decimal, so a decimal data type is a float, right? So if I put float here, and now I insert into this table a string, it's going to throw me an error, right? Because I've already told the database that this, or the RDBMS, that this column is actually for a float value, for a decimal value. All right. So I also have the enum, like this. It is also under the text. We have the enum like male, female. These two kind of predefined text values, like male, female, good or bad, right? That can just be 2. Okay, so those are called enums. Then we have the date and time. We have the timestamp. I have the date and the time together. We have the date. I only have dates. All right, so I also have the time stamp. Okay, then we have the date time. Yeah, I think there are different types of date time data types. They also have the Boolean, right? The Boolean is the true or false data type, true or false, or 1 or 0. Okay, so when I put in that, if I specify the column 1 that this is a Boolean data that I'm putting into this table on that particular column, and I go on to put a string data, it will throw me an error. All right. So the need for data types is very, very important. All right. So when choosing a data type, you be very, very careful when you're creating your table, especially when you're creating your table from the scratch. All right. You have to be very, very careful. Okay, so the next thing is constraints. The next thing is constraints. All right, so when we create our table, so we're going to create a table, okay, inside the bookstore database we just created. All right, so I'm going to have 3 people to give me 3 tables that you think can be found on a bookstore database. Just 3, and just put it in the chat. Please, this class should be interactive. 3 things that can be found. All right. All right, let me go to the group chat and see. Please, 3 tables you think can be found in the bookstore. It can be a transaction table. It can be a transaction table. It can be an order table. Okay, so I just need 3. So I'm going to be creating 3 tables. Please, we can't see your screen. Are you serious? Okay, can you see it now? All right, so someone said the author table. All right. So we're creating that. Then, yeah, we have the books table and then the customers table. Okay. All right, can you see my screen now? Hello. All right. Okay. Yes, I was trying to explain. I've not gotten to the RDBMS. I was still on my slide. Okay, so we'll be creating our database, right? Our table rather. So I was explaining, maybe it was stuck. I was trying to explain the syntax and the data types before we go over to Postgres. Okay, so to create it, I said we're going to use the create statement, table, right? We're telling this RDBMS that we want to create a table, right? What's the name of our table? The first one is books. Books. Okay, then we'll open our brackets. All right, then we need okay, let me say we need 3 columns that can be found in this books table. Okay, so we need the ID. We need the ID. That is the unique, a unique identifier for these books. Okay, we're going to go into that. We need the ID for these books, right? So we're going to do an ID. Then, which data type do we need? The ID column is, we're telling it that, okay, how does an ID look? Some includes numbers and text values together. Some they are only text values. Some are not only numbers. Okay, so for this our own is just numbers. So data type will be integer. So the short form is just int for the short form is int for SQL. Okay, this is an integer, like I said, is like a whole number. It's a data type like a whole number. 1, 2, 3 is a numeric data type. Okay, so it's an integer. Then the next thing we are going to do, we're going to create okay, before we create a primary key, we've not gone over to primary key, so we'll just be doing it when I explain. I go back to add more things. Okay, so you're going to follow. Okay, so we're going to add other columns. Okay, so we're going to add other columns. Sorry. The book name. Okay, so we're going to add the book name. Okay, like I said, the name is what a character, like a string, like a text value, right? If our book name is, let me say, for example, our book name is Lily of the Valley, for example. Lily of the Valley is not a numeric, it's a text value. Okay, so for this, we're going to put a text data type. You can either put text or you can put varying character. It's a kind of a text value. Then another thing to note when you're trying to impute, when you're trying to do when you're trying to create tables. Now we've put a name. These are data type. For example, on this data type, they will ask you, the database might ask that, how many characters do you want? How many characters long do you want? Like you want to restrict the number of characters that can be included. Okay, let me say when someone is trying to update the database and someone is trying to add more books to that particular table, and let me say here you put I just need only 50 books with only 50 characters long, and someone is trying to put a book that has like 100 characters or 70 or 60 or 51 characters. Okay, it's going to throw an error. It's like you're putting a constraint that this particular column can only include books that have 50 or less characters. Okay, so going to include that. Then the book name. Okay, let's just use 2 columns. What again can we say inside the book? The ID, the name. Okay, when it was created, right? When it was published. Okay, so we're going to put a published date. Published date. Okay, so for this, we're going to use a date. They're different. You can use a date time. Is another type, another data type. You can use a date. You can use a timestamp. Okay, so we're going to use a date because you just need only the date. All right, so the published date. Okay, so close it. All right, so now we're going to create this table. Now we've created our table, right? We've told the RDBM these are the columns that we need. We need the ID, we need the name, we need the published date. Okay, so we're going to run this. All right, so it has created successfully. Okay, so to see these are tables that we've created, we're going to do a select everything from books, which is our table, right? Okay, so let's run it. Okay, so these are ID. Remember, we've not imputed any values into it. So these are ID. the columns we just created. These are the name column. As you can see, this the character that can be inside this particular column. Then this is a date. So if I try to put a string here, if I try to put a numeric value here, right, it's going to throw me an error. Okay. All right. Let me see if there's anything on the chart. Okay. All right. So the next thing we're going to be looking at is the alter table. Okay. So let me say we've created our table now. We've created the table, the books table. We're still going to create more when we go further. We've created the books table. Now we want to alter this. For example, you finish creating the table, you've been doing a lot of things on that table, and they ask you that, please, can you just add one more column? Okay, can you add one more column to this particular table? Maybe something happened and maybe they forgot, or anything can happen, and they ask you that you should add a column to that table. Okay, now we've created it, right? Just 3 columns. Now we want to add a column to that existing table that we've created. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to use this syntax. This is syntax here for adding a column, right? This is syntax here for adding another column to that table instead of trying to drop it and trying to add it again. Okay, so we're going to add a column. The second thing we're going to do, we're going to modify a column. Let me say, we have, okay, let's not go to that first. Then we'll drop the table. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to add a column to that existing table that we have. Okay. All right, let's go back to RDBMS. I think that will not be going over and over. Okay, so to add a column, let me say now we have ID, name, and publish date. So the thing we're going to do here, we're going to tell this RDBMS that we want to add a creation date when this what other okay, let me say a genre of the book, if it's a love, if it's horror, you know, for example. So let's say we want to add that column. Okay, let's say we want to add that column to this. So what we're going to do, we're going to use the create statement. Sorry, we're going to use the alter because we're trying to alter this table. We're trying to do some damages. We're trying to do some upgrade. We're just trying to shake this table. All right. So we're going to use the alter table, the alter statement. We're telling the database, we're telling the RDBMS that please change this table structure, change this table for me. Okay. So we're going to use the alter table. We're going to use the alter table to do that. All right. So what we're going to do an alter. What's our table name? We're altering our books, okay, the books table. Telling to add. What are we adding? We're adding a genre. Okay. No, we're also going to specify the name, the data type, right? And this is a text data type. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing here. All right, you're still going to, you can still give it, you can still put the constraint, okay, that we just need 50, you can put 20, any number, that you feel is okay for that particular column. Okay, so we run it. All right, so we've altered the table. So let's check our table. All right, now we have 4 columns, right, on our bookstore, on our books table. Okay, now we have 4 columns. Then the next thing we will be doing is to do what? We want to modify this particular column that we just added. Okay, we want to modify it. We want to change. Let me say I don't want to put it at 50. I don't want to put it at 50. I want to put it at 20. Okay, I just want to reduce it. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing, right? We want to modify. Now we're going to use the modify statement, or not the add. So the same thing we're going to do here. Just going to copy and paste. So we're going to do a modify column to what? Just need 20. Okay, let's run it. So this keyword is applicable here. Okay, author table books. Okay, I don't think this is supported in. It's not even highlighted. Okay, I don't think it's supported in this RDBMS. I think being SQL. So just to modify, you can just do this with maybe it's in SQL Server or MySQL. Okay, since it's not highlighted, I've been highlighted as a statement. So I didn't check. All right. So the last thing we can also drop. Okay, so to drop a table, we just have to do drop table. What's the name of our table? Books, right? Then you run it. If you run this on MySQL, any other things would work. Okay, so we've dropped our table. Someone will try to select, want to check on that table. We just do a select, and you see it does not exist because we've dropped it. All right. Do you have any questions so far? Oh,
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Silva. So if you have any question, please just raise your hand. We take 3 or 4 questions before we end the session. So please, if you have any question for her, just raise your hand and I will unmute your microphones. So I can see Abdul Waib. I'm going to unmute you now. So please ask your question. Abdul Waib, please ask your question, please.
Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yes, we
Yeah,
can hear
thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, our facilitator, Madam Sylvia. Yeah, my question is on um, I needed to be clear. So the step is number one, you create a database, then you create the table. But I noticed at the point um, when you wanted to, should I say, um, alter a table. That is, you wanted to add to the initial existing one you wanted to create. You used
Yeah.
alter table books, not
Yes.
alter table bookstore. Could you please quickly uh, simplify why you went that route, just for clarity? Did you get that, ma?
Okay. Here. All right.
Okay.
So yes, I got it. We are altering the table and not this is a database. A database consists of different tables. For time's sake, would have created like more 2 tables. Okay, a database. This bookstore can contain an author, the published tables. These are different tables with different columns, right? In this particular bookstore, we only created one table, okay? And now we're trying to modify this thing here is inside here, okay? This is like a drawer, okay? And these are shelves inside the drawer, right? So we're trying to change whatever is inside the shelves. We're trying to remove a book, or we're trying to add, or whatever it is. All right. So this is like a different, this is like a table inside this. So we are not changing this. We are changing this. We are adding a column inside here. I don't know if that answered your question.
Okay. I think I'm clear. I'll be fine with that. Thank you.
All right. Any other question?
All right, thank you for the question. Please, any other question from any other person before we end this section? Do you have any other question? You can drop in the chat. You can raise your hands. Clarifications. Okay, Abdul Malik Bayo Sulaiman, I can see your hand. So I'll be giving you the mic right away, and you can ask your question. Thank you. So you can speak. Abdul Malik, you have the mic now.
Okay. Good evening. Can you hear me now? Good evening, Sylvia. Good evening, moderator.
Yes,
can you hear me?
we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. On this program, we've been using Microsoft packages. It's a different tool you use today. I want to confirm if the same line of code would also work on Microsoft SQL.
Yes. If it doesn't work, it just very slight difference. They're all the same thing, but if it doesn't work, it's just maybe the way it's been positioned. Okay, like for example, the modifier I was doing, maybe it's here, it might not be positioned here, it might be somewhere else. Do you understand? So, but it's the same alter table. These are the main keywords, okay, to work on your databases, right? Drop, create, but the way you might put it might be different, but they're just the same keywords.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I don't know. Yeah. All
Thank
right,
you.
next
That's
person. Okay, it's fine.
All right, thank you, Abdul Malik. I can see the hand of Ali Biosu. So I'll be giving you the mic right away to ask your question. All right, you can now speak, Ali Biosu. Ali Biosu, please confirm you can hear me. You can now speak. You have the microphone.
Okay. Can you hear me? Good evening. Good afternoon.
Yes, I can hear you. Good afternoon.
Right. Miss Silva, please, can you kindly go to your DBMS, please?
Okay.
All right. For the author table books, you said modify column general vaca. Then for what I want to ask is, what are we modifying? Is it the column or the table? Because from the chart, you said the table.
Yes. Okay, we are modifying actually the table and the column. Okay, we're actually modifying the table and the column.
But if you actually modify the table, then it's going to affect.
Okay, let me see if the table. Yes. Okay, let me see if it works with. Okay, I don't think this is the Okay, I alter this table. I want to modify the column. Like I'm changing this characters length. I want to change it to 20. Okay, let me say I want to increase it more, right? I've already created my table and I want to increase the character length. I will use a modify table. Okay, modify statement. I think on my SQL is change column. Okay, that's the statement is instead of modify. All right,
Okay.
so
Well, is it
you're
going to
modifying the
affect
column,
the name?
yes, inside the table.
Or is it going to
Eh?
affect the name? Is the name column also going to change to 20? That's the length.
Yes. When you try to, if it had worked, when you try to change it, when you try to put a character, when you try to put a genre that is above 20 characters, it don't work. But before, if it's above 20, it will work. But we changed it so that 20 will be the limit. That's what we did. Jonathan, it was
Now, I'm actually
50 and
talking
we
about
changed
the
it to
name.
20.
We also have a name column.
No, the name, yeah, the name won't change. We are just changing this.
All right.
Okay,
That's cool.
we're just changing the string. Yeah, you're just changing the limits. You can actually change many things, right? Yeah.
Thank you very much.
But you use just the alter table. Okay, the next person.
All right, thank you
All
so
right.
much, Alebioshi. Now let's move on to Bakari. I can see your hand, so I'm going to mute your microphone and you can ask your questions. So you have the microphone now. Okay, I think Bakari is not speaking anymore. All right, so any other
Hello?
questions for
Hello?
okay, yeah,
Hello?
Hello.
I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. My question is, how can you export a database? Maybe for another use.
How do you mean?
Okay, maybe you want it to do analysis in Power BI, so you want to export it, the whole database with tables.
Okay, you don't export, you only connect, right? You're going to connect from Power BI. There's a connector. If it's on MySQL, you do this connector. You're going to see it on Power BI, right? You just connect your database. You don't really export it. You just connect it to your Power BI. Okay, then you query from your, that's how you do it. You query from your database and it's showing on Power BI. So you don't export a database to Power BI. You connect the database to Power BI. Is that okay? Yeah, you just connect it. It's actually there. Yeah, when you go to, what's it called on Power BI, where you want to select source, like source of your data. Okay, you're going to see different, you're going to see Postgres, you see MySQL. So you can just click on any where your database is located, right, that you want to see. Then you connect on it, yeah, source. Then you connect to that particular database in Power BI. Yeah. Hello, okay.
I'm sorry. I don't know if this is out of
Yeah,
line.
I got it.
Hello.
Hello.
Please, do you have a question? I can see your hand up.
Yeah, I actually do. If you want to import, let's say we have an Excel file, they want to bring it into PSQL. How are we going to do that?
Okay. So there are different ways you can do that. You can use the import statement. Like, let me see on, this is my SQL here. Sorry, here's my SQL. Okay. Let me say my SQL here, and I want to import tables, right? I already have my CSV file, and I want to import tables into this bookstore. Okay. So I will just right click on this, right? Then I use the table import wizard. Yeah, you're going to put the file path, or you browse to wherever it's located. Okay, so these are the different databases. Let me say I want to import this particular file, right? I do open, do next. All right. So you can see here, it says use existing table, create new table. These are table. Okay. We are telling the database to create a new table, a calendar table. We are importing the calendar data set. So telling it to create a new table inside what this particular database. Okay. So when you click here, you're telling the that if exists, I told you guys about. If this calendar exists inside this bookstore, if there's a table like that, let it drop. Let the database drop it as you're importing this one, right? So you click on that and you do a next. So look at our tables. These are the tables, right, inside that particular CSV file in Excel I'm trying to import. Okay, so these are the tables. We have the listing ID, we have the date. You can see here you have to change it. So this is a text. Remember date, I said you can. These are the different field types. These are data types, right? This is the integer listing ID. We have the double precision. This is the decimal. We have the integer. So that these are different. These are different tables. These are different columns. Okay, that we are trying to import. Then we do a next. Okay, then we do a next. It's importing. Okay,
All right,
so if we don't want
much.
this is a type. Okay, yeah, we have two types. You can use this import wizard or you can do a statement. But before you do the statement, there's a statement that you can use. You just run it. That is very easy. If it was a statement in less than few seconds, it will just import the table. Okay.
All right.
It will just import.
Well, can I see the
yes.
statements, please?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, to start writing, let me see if I have one of it here. Let me see if it's here. Let's see if I have one of it here. Okay, I don't have it. So okay, so to import it, you can do you're going to load, this one is for my SQL. You're just going to do a load data. It's kind of long. I'm going to do a load data local in file. It's different, right? Then you're going to put your path's name. You're going to go here. Okay. Where is my database located? Where is my table located? This is my table, right? You're going to right click. This is the path. I'm going to copy the path. Okay. Then go back and paste it. Okay. Then the next thing we're going to do, into where are we copying this into? Into table. What's the name of the table? But first, okay, first before you do this, you're going to create a table, right? You're going to create a table. Okay. Before you're going to create a table, create the table structure like we did, the data types and all that before you're going to use this stuff here. So okay, let me see. Start creating table now. Okay, let's use this one we've already done. Let's use this one. Let's use this one. So I'm going to create the table back. Okay. I'm going to call this calendar. Right. Calendar. Another thing you should note, right? Before importing your file size, like how many columns are there in Excel on the calendar? If it's 10, it should be the same here when you're creating it. So if I try to import it now, I have errors because I need to list out everything. The number of columns, I need to list it out here, the data types, everything, I need to list it out here, okay? and before I import it. But for Postgres is another statement. If you see here, it's load data. In Postgres is copy. So there are just slight differences in both of them. Okay, I don't use Microsoft, so I think it will be different too. Okay, so you can use, okay, you see, since we are trying to run this and you see it's taking forever. Okay, if it was here, you don't have to create any table, you don't have to do all that, you just import it. But if it was this other statement, why I'm not running it, because I don't have a CSV file. Okay, in there is a book service CSV file. All right, so if I start to create, we'll go, I think it will be time generating. Okay, we'll waste more time, sorry. All right, so there are different ways you can actually import data. This one is very stressful, but you see that one, you just do a copy or this load within 2 seconds, you just import it. All right, I hope that clears you.
All right, thank you very much. I'll check it out. So maybe I'll reach out to you if I'm unable to fix it.
No, it's okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, any other person?
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Sylvia. Do we have any other persons that want to ask any questions? Anything you're not clear with? That should be the last person, if there is any. All right, I think we don't have any other questions anymore. So, guys, I want us to appreciate Miss Sylvia for this opportunity, for this time she has actually given us. So please just give her a round of applause, just react, give your emojis, your love. It's not actually easy to find to bring her into this session this evening. Thank you so much, Miss Sylvia. If we have any questions, we can put it on our group chat and we can reach out to you. And thank you so much, guys. Every one of you have joined today's session. I believe you have learned one thing or the other. Thank you. And
okay, if you have any questions, you can check me on LinkedIn. Okay, just tell me this session. Okay, and I will just give you my time.
Please, if you can just display your LinkedIn profile or your link, and just send your link so that we can reach out to you. We can follow up with you. So please send it to us or display it. And also, we are going to drop 2 links. We are going to be sending an evaluation link very soon and a quiz link just for you to, just some questions you need to answer to confirm your understanding about data manipulation and database management with SQL. So please, every one of us, we are required to fill the evaluation form and answer the quiz. They are just simple questions. Within 5 minutes, we are done. So we'll be sending it as soon as possible right after the end of this class. So once again, please just go ahead and, tweet about this program, go to your LinkedIn, tweet about today's sections, what do you learn, what do you gain, and how exciting it has been to you. So Miss would say, thank you so much once again for coming here to this section. We appreciate you. So please, guys, follow up with her on LinkedIn. If you have any question as regards SQL, she's there for you. Once again, good afternoon, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.